Hi everyone, welcome back to Dasar. My name is Darshan Doshi and I have an awesome guest with me today, Dr. Anil Lamba. Now, Anil is a financial literacy activist. He's an international corporate trainer. He's a certified chartered accountant who has been practicing law, taxation, accounts for a very, very long time. He has helped hundreds and thousands of organizations and people to become financially literate. And so in this video, we are going to talk on a whole range of things today. Very quickly, what we are going to cover today includes why is financial literacy important? Why should organizations train and really bring up their employees up to speed on financial acumen? How can organizations become financially awesome? And a whole range of topics that we're going to talk about. Anil, welcome to Dasar. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here.
It is a pleasure to be with you today, Darshan. Thank you so much for inviting me.
So I've given a quick overview of who you are, right? You've been spending more than a couple of decades around you call yourself financial literacy activist. You're an international bestseller author. You've written over 5 books. The book that in my hand is Romancing the Balance Sheet. And you've helped so many thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people over the year to become better at managing their finances, either personal finance or at an organization level. Maybe a quick question for you is, why is financial literacy important for people?
Okay, because the price that you pay for financial illiteracy, if people realize, I think nobody would dare to remain illiterate when it comes to finance. But unfortunately, this is something they learn the hard way. People on a personal level lose money when they invest wrongly or don't invest enough and leads to problems when it comes to closer to retirement. But far bigger price is paid by the corporates, by the businesses. I've said it often enough that it is an undisputed fact that of all the businesses that fail in the world, over 90 to 95% fail because of financial mismanagement. And this is a pity because it's an avoidable reason of failing. I've always said you fail because the product that you created is faulty. You deserve to fail. You fail because you knew how to make a product but you didn't understand how to go and sell it. Fair enough. If a business gets into trouble, understandable. But if a business fails because of financial mismanagement, and that also because you didn't realize how important it is, I mean, that's an avoidable reason.
Absolutely. There is a fun fact or a stat that I want to share with you. According to a research study, the highest or the most percentage of successful startups are the ones started by chartered accountants.
I may or may not agree with that, even though I would like to agree because being a chartered accountant myself, but I would probably tweak it saying in most success stories, the person at the helm must be financially savvy, must have been. That's the reason for success.
Right.
Because having said that, let's not underestimate any function. If you're a manufacturing company, ability to make, ability to sell, ability to run the business, finance, all are important functions. But the question is, what should the person at the top understand and what should be delegated? Several years back, the feeling was the owner, the promoter should understand engineering. I should know how to make. So most people those days would go for, what do you want your kid to be, an engineer and so on. I think then came a decade where you realized if you know how to make and you don't know how to sell, you still get into trouble. So management colleges, B schools shifted towards marketing. And then a stage came, you realized you may know how to make, you may know how to sell, but if you don't understand finance. Now, it's easy for so-called non-finance people to understand finance, But a finance person cannot attend a program called engineering for non-engineering and learn engineering.
Correct.
Which is why it is important that people with other skills also learn finance management, because everything should be in a business should be taken care of. So if the owner focuses on finance management and delegates production, delegates marketing, delegates other things, I think your chances of success become better. So.
Brilliant. I'm a big believer of financial freedom. We've been talking a lot about financial freedom, financial independence, learning how to manage your personal finances, how to invest, making sure you live frugally, doing the basic financial routines, putting them in place, right? Now, this is all on an individual level. You've worked with over 3,000 organizations worldwide.
Many more, 3,000 are the big ones. Smaller ones, maybe 10,000 or more.
Right. So you have a rich experience, right? And focus towards corporates or organizations in managing their finances better. Maybe you can give us a quick overview of how this translates into organization success based on your experience, and also on the other end of the spectrum, mismanagement, right? Yeah. So would love to hear a few thoughts from you.
Sure. First of all, even on personal finance, I spent a lot of time being a practicing CA. A lot of my clients, we used to handle that. I have a book on financial affairs of the common man. I have a book on stock market called Flirting with Stocks. But you're right, my focus went more and more on business finance, because I think the stakes are much bigger, and individuals' problems are in thousands, lakhs, and organizations' problems are in thousands of crores, and much bigger numbers. So I find myself spending more and more time on corporate finance. Now, I said a little while back that 90 to 95% business failures happen on account of bad finance management. Now, logical question of somebody listening to this is, don't people understand how important it is? Answer is yes, they do. But tell me, if you realize your organization needs to be managed better financially, what will you strengthen? You will pick up probably a well-qualified, experienced finance professional. But the paradox is very, very little finance management happens in the finance department. So even organizations that realize finance is important, the department they will strengthen is the finance department. And I have always said, at the cost of offending my own professional brethren, that if there is one person in an organization who can say I am a non-finance person, it is the person who says I am a finance person. Rest of the organization that calls themselves non-finance, I think that's an oxymoron. That kind of creature doesn't exist. But they are the real finance people. Now, this statement may sound enigmatic, that doesn't make sense. What do I mean by that? Who are the people who typically say we are non-finance? I run programs called Finance for Non-Finance. So that the problem starts there. So the people attending the program would be right from the CEO onwards, or the production chief, or the marketing head, or the HR person. And my first message to them is, you are the real finance people of the company. What do I mean by that? Folks, every action of yours has a financial implication. If you are a salesperson, if you are selling these cups, if a customer says, I'll buy 100,000 cups because this Diwali I'm gifting out these cups to everyone, but not your 500 rupees per cup. I can't give you more than 400. You got to take a decision. Should I say yes or no? Now tell me, is that a sales decision purely, or is it a financial decision? It has a financial implication. If your company that makes these cups could afford a price of 400, and if you say no to the customer, that's bad finance management. And if you can't afford 400 and you say yes to the customer, that's worse finance management. Every production decision has a financial implication. HR decision has a financial implication. Guys, finance management of an organization is nothing but a collection of financially intelligent decisions taken by every individual in the company. And these are the people who say we are non-finance. And the finance professionals like me, what do? When everything is over, we come into the picture, do a post-mortem and say this organization has either made a profit or a loss. Guys, what I'm saying is, the people you call as finance people are the ones who calculate the profit. The people who call themselves non-finance are the ones who are engaged in the generation of profit. So my message is, who should be called as the real finance people? The ones who generate profit or the ones who calculate profit?
Absolutely.
The message that is coming out is, folks, even if your organization has the finest finance department in the world, your organization can still be guilty of bad finance management, because very little finance management happens in finance department. It is happening 24/7 in every action of every individual. And therefore, unless an organization understands the importance of imparting financial literacy to everybody, that organization cannot be financially intelligent.
That is just such an awesome and unique insight. And obviously that comes from years and years of experience. Essentially, in decision making, what you do is you should bring decision making closer to the source of the information point, right? What you're saying is the financial acumen needs to be brought down to each and every individual,
to the shop
within
floor
the
level,
organization,
up to the shop floor level,
so that there is at least a base level of acumen.
Correct.
Which can enable better decision making, thereby making finance or making the organization financially savvy.
Correct.
Is that correct?
So what does financial acumen mean? I have said financial acumen means two things. The two pillars on which successful businesses stand are, number one, profitability, number two, cash flow. And my definition of finance management is, it is the ability on the part of every individual to understand the financial implication of your actions. Financial implication in what way? How will your actions impact the company's profitability? What will be the impact on the cash flow? If a decision is taken after taking this into account, then that decision should be called a financially intelligent decision. And when a large majority takes financially intelligent decisions, it translates into a financially intelligent organization.
तो मुझे इसके बारे में बात करनी है आपसे. आपने इतने सारे programs हैं आपके. You've gone into education institutes, you've gone into organizations, you've worked with individuals, right? The whole spectrum of it over decades. And
we work with governments, we train the income tax department, we've trained serious fraud investigation office, we've trained TV channels.
So I want to get into the fraud part of it as well, just in a bit. But first I want to talk about two such programs that we were discussing, which is Financially Intelligent Organization and FLA, which is Financial Literacy for All. If you don't mind, can you share that for the benefit of our audience?
I would love to. In fact, you are doing me a service by giving me a platform to talk about these. It's very important to spread message, particularly about the financial literacy for all. Having done so much of, for me, teaching is a hobby turned passion turned full-time activity. But having done that, you realize somewhere deep down you feel a sense of guilt that, we are like mercenaries. People pay us and we teach. But there is a body of people who need it as badly, but they can't afford to pay. So, we have a duty toward them. Again, to cut a long story short, I've spoken about this in other platforms also. What started as a guilt complex, what are we doing to help the people who can't afford it? Then it became more ambitious. And what it has culminated in is a project called Financial Literacy for All, which is an attempt to train 1 billion Indians free of cost.
Amazing.
These are two big words, very large words. I don't know how much I will achieve in my lifetime. This project is for the rest of my life. Deep down, I keep consoling myself that year after year, the percentage of time devoted to this project will keep on growing till one day I'll be doing only this, but right. I'm not doing that full time now. But the attempt is, it's a volunteer-driven activity. So we have to mobilize 1 million volunteers to train 1 billion Indians. A lot of work is going on at the back end. When I started, I thought the difficult part would be getting volunteers. Now I realize the easiest part is getting volunteers. Without even seeking, every day I receive emails saying, I want to volunteer. And I feel very odd. What do I tell them? I'm not ready for them yet.
Right.
So as and when we are ready. So number one, we want to, I've always said that in this India growth story, which we are doing phenomenally well.
Right.
But in this India growth story, if there's going to be one impediment or one obstacle, that will be financial illiteracy. So a nation cannot be prosperous unless its people are financially intelligent. So we want to do our bit. We can't do too much on other fronts, but where we can contribute is in spreading financial literacy amongst everybody within the country, especially among the poorer segment who can't afford to pay for it. That is one project. The other end of the pendulum is, you know, having done so many programs, I've always said at the end of a program, what we have done, we create financially intelligent individuals. If an organization nominates 100 people to be trained by us, we've made 100 financially intelligent individuals, but that doesn't mean the organization has become financially intelligent. So we created a concept called creating FIO, financially intelligent organizations. I think this is probably the first of its kind in the world, like an ISO certificate. We will certify an organization to be an FIO. Now, what does it need to become FIO? Number one, of course, training. Financial literacy has to go across. So in FIO, the client cannot tell us train 100, 500,000 people. If they've got 10,000 employees, we have to train 10,000 employees. Literacy has to go across to everybody. Case by case, we will take a call. We'll study their org structure. We might say, you know, these 3,000 down the line workers at the shop floor need to be given a 2-hour sensitivity talk.
Correct.
Some other people, the top layer, we might give a 5-day face-to-face education. Rest of them, we will train through videos, through e-learning, but everybody has to be trained. But that's half the story. Literacy is no use unless it is supported by timely and relevant data. You know, when I teach finance, and I tend to make the subject very easy. So the normal reaction of a person is, Anil, you said this is so important. So many companies failed, but what you told us is pretty easy. Don't people understand this? My answer is, number one, yes, they don't. Number two, even if they do, the company doesn't generate the relevant data. Number three, if it does, the data doesn't get generated on time. Number four, if it gets generated on time, it doesn't reach the right person. And if it reaches the right person, the fellow doesn't know what to do with that data. So the other half of FIO is we go into systems, we go into accounting systems, we go into reporting systems, we recommend tweaking the system where necessary, we design customized MIS reports for them, we tell them which report should be generated at what frequency, who should be the recipient for that report, and by the time the person receives the report, we have made sure the person has been trained to read, understand, interpret, take action based on that. So when literacy has been imparted, when we make sure that the right information gets generated at the right time, reaches the right person, and the fellow knows what to do with it, then we certify that this is now an FIO. My hope and dream, Darshan, is in the coming years, a banker won't give you a loan if you're not an FIO. A shareholder won't buy your share if you're not an FIO. What do you mean? What do I mean when I say you're not an FIO? A company that is not financially intelligent is a matter of time before it will get into trouble. Absolutely. And when a company gets into trouble, the owner is not the only one who suffers. Along with the owner, the bankers lose money, the shareholders lose money, the vendors lose money, the employees lose jobs. It is in the mutual interest of everybody that an organization is an FIO.
It's just amazing the kind of work that you're doing. I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this would love to volunteer for the FLA program. And I am going to encourage them to reach out to you. Right, to support your journey in enabling or making 1 billion Indians financially literate.
Yes.
One very basic cause or question that I have is, in your experience, you know, what are the top 2 or 3 things that prevent any individual, whether an employee in a company or at in personal finance basis, to learn and build that financial literacy or acumen themselves? What has stopped them?
Number of things. Number one, many of them don't realize how important it is till it is too late. So ignorance. Number two, mistaken belief that it's a difficult subject. It is not. Number three, another belief that it's a boring subject. Guys, when somebody says it's boring, I say I'm talking about money. How can money be boring? It's the most fascinating subject. It is not rocket science. It's common sense. I think anything that I teach, guys, if you don't attend my program, you sit in a room and meditate and think about it, you'll be able to think of those concepts yourself. It's common sense. But people stay away from it. And the price paid is so huge, it's not funny. Yeah. So I think even if I am on one mission in my life, that communicating to people, don't stay away from the subject, it's easy, it's fun, my purpose would be served. So.
You know, I think if you follow a lot of Instagram influencers, they've tried to make this subject fun as well. Of course, depending on what end of the pendulum you're at, you might view it as, man, that's oversimplified, right? On the other end of the thing, well, at least there is some awareness about money and there are consequences of it, right? Yeah. Because how much information can you pack in 30 to 45 seconds, right?
Yes.
You do need to do the hard yards.
Yes. But the hard yards are fun. Right. You know, it's not hard.
Right.
By hard, you mean you need more input,
time,
which is equally fun. So if you enjoy a reel, a 30-40 second reel, then imagine that fun being extended to more minutes and more hours, you're enjoying for a longer period. No reason to stay away.
Absolutely. Now, I was part of a family business. I've seen how manufacturing and engineering companies in India operate. I've had the pleasure of working in top global companies, Reliance Industries, W.R. Grace in Boston, Praj Industries in India. And I'm part of a startup as well, right? Building a startup and having invested in a few startups, learning a little bit about what is the financial acumen of these founders who are taking investor money as well. Now, in all of these cases, you've worked with all of them. What have been some of the top mistakes or mismanagement that has taken place that you can share with us?
Many, but let me share a few. Or let me share a few pointers what they should focus on, which they don't. Number one, too much focus is there on top line generation. And one has to remember that business is not about top line, it's about bottom line. They have the wrong role models. They have a few of these new age companies, right from Amazons to Flipkarts to Zomatos. But guys, these are exceptions, this is not the rule. You look at them, oh, they make losses, they have nice top line but negative bottom line. If you emulate them without understanding what it entails, you're going to fall flat on your face. If you don't have a godfather having millions of dollars ready saying, guy, you go and splurge and I'm going to fund it, which won't be there in 9,999 out of 10,000 cases. So that's a wrong role model you've got. So number one, guys, remember business is not about top line, it's about bottom line. Top line is a means towards achieving an end, and the end is to have a strong bottom line. Number two, just because you have a strong bottom line, just because you make profit, that's not the end of it. Because I think one of the earliest lessons an entrepreneur learns is that there is no connection between the profit that your organization makes and the bank balance that you have. And I've always said, if there is a correlation, it is an inverse relationship. Higher the profit you make, lesser the bank balance you have. Every entrepreneur will relate with what I'm saying. So if you make profit and if you don't have the money to meet day-to-day expenses and many other things, you will still get into trouble. So number two, focus equally much on the cash flow. Number three, understand your balance sheet. Very simple document, but everything revolves around that. I find even people who understand finance will focus more on the P&L, not the balance sheet. But the balance sheet is, that's why I've written a whole book on romancing the balance sheet. Balance sheet tells you where the money has come from, where it has gone and so on. To cut a long story short, guys, make sure you don't ever use short-term funds to finance long-term assets. if you bring me 10 balance sheets of companies that failed, I will show you 9 of them probably would have failed because they are guilty of having used short-term funds for long-term purposes. And this is so important that my usual advice to entrepreneurs is right now go buy a stone, get it engraved on that, a personal commitment. I will never use short-term money for long-term purposes, and go and install this stone somewhere where every day you read it and get reminded of it. It's that important. Number 4, never ever invest in any business unless you are sure that the returns that you make on deployment of assets are at least equal to the cost of capital. Everyone understands my returns should cover my cost of production. If you're a manufacturing company, it should cover my cost of administration, it should cover my cost of selling. Not enough people understand the returns should cover the cost of capital. In fact, if I at random pick up a few entrepreneurs and ask them, guys, do you know how much is your capital? Probably 9 of them would give me a wrong answer. And amongst the capital, within the capital, there's a certain portion of owner's capital. Even if they do understand the concept of cost of capital, they attribute a cost to borrowed money, borrowed from outsiders. They do not attribute a cost to owner's money. Guys, owner's money is not only not free, it is the most expensive source of money available. So unless the returns generated by you not only cover cost of production, marketing and so on, but also cover the cost of capital and the cost of owner's money, that business cannot be termed to be a success. Many more such things are there, Darshan. It will become a discourse otherwise, but these few things, if they keep...
No, I can totally relate to some of the things that you've said, and the cost of capital is such an important concept. I want to change the topic a little bit, and now I want to get into the tough situations that you might have seen companies go through, right? And that has caused either through frauds, scams, or maybe even, just a simple part where a small business owner believes that he's built the business so he can use the company money for personal asset generation. So would love to hear, without naming the companies, what are some of these experiences that you see keep coming up again and again? Because India's economy is still, the backbone of it is still SMEs, right? Over 60 or 70% of GDP comes through SMEs in India. So anything that kind of comes to your mind that you could share, this is what are some of the use cases that keep coming up.
No, you're absolutely right. But my point was, even if none of this happens, it's bad enough that due to financial illiteracy, the companies get into trouble. Correct. These things only compound it.
Right.
So anybody who starts doing these wrong things, which are completely inexcusable, that just makes the problem worse. That's all right. But I'm saying, even if your intentions are fine, even if everything is right, even if you're doing nothing wrong, you're not fleecing the company, you're not taking out from under the table, still due to financial illiteracy, companies get into trouble. Now imagine, in addition to that, they do this kind of a thing. It's suicide, guys.
Right.
Another thing I have strong opinion about is taxation. Guys, any attempt at saving tax is more expensive than the payment of tax. People spend so much time and energy trying to save tax. You don't even know the price you're paying. I think the biggest curse on an economy is black money. And you don't realize, I'm not sermonizing, I'm not even saying from a moral standpoint. In your own interest, the greater the legitimate business you do, the more the opportunities you get of putting it back into the business. The opportunity that you lose because you have money on which you haven't paid taxes, and the energy you consume trying to hide it, and the peace of mind that you lose, not worth it, folks. So any of those wrong things, if you stay away from, in your personal interest, the benefits you'll reap are too many.
Brilliant.
So this sounds like sermonizing. I'm not.
No, I think it's absolutely important.
And I've been on both sides. I've been a practicing CA, so I know what I'm talking about. It's not that, it's just somebody trying to give gyan. It's not that.
Brilliant. So I want to change gears a little bit, and I want to talk about romancing the balance sheet. I have this book in front of me. Thanks for sharing an updated copy with me. You've written 5 books,
I've
right?
written about
what is
6 books, and there are 3 more in the pipeline. And you mentioned scam. That's my favorite area. Not to commit scams, but to talk about it and write. So there's a book on scam that I might bring out soon. I'm only scared I might get sued by some people, so I'm making sure, trying to cover the legal basis. But when I'm sure of that, that'll be a very interesting book to read.
Brilliant, brilliant. So maybe what is the thought process in terms of writing this book? Is this something, what is the...
I'll tell you how Romancing got written, and then others just followed. I'm basically a very lazy person. If I don't enjoy something, I don't do it. I went into teaching because to enjoy. I seriously feel, Darshan, I haven't worked a day in my life. Every minute is fun. I love every aspect of my work. And therefore, at the end of it, when they also pay you, that's the real icing on the cake. Because I would probably have done the same thing. If nobody paid me, I would have done it free. But when I started teaching, when you pass out as a CA, you study the subject and you feel I am the newcomer on the block. So everyone already knows the subject, I have just learned it. And then when I held the first workshop, and successful business people, industrial, I remember, I won't name names, very successful industrialist was attending that. And at the end of the program, he said, if I had known all this so many years back, 20 years back, my life would have been different. I attributed it to his modesty. He's being kind, But then another program, somebody else said that. In another workshop, somebody else said that. And then I discovered how little the world understands this subject. So ignorance about this subject was so vast, and I would see life-changing things happening. I ran a program for 3 months, 3-month duration. I was a full-time practicing CA. I used to teach here and there on people's invitation. When so many people, every time in the evening you're sitting at a party, somebody is asking you, when is the next program? So one day we said, if so many people need it, let me announce one myself. So we started with a 1-day finance for non-finance. Everyone told me it sounds easy, it's very difficult. You will advertise, you'll spend money, you'll book a 5-star, not enough people will come, but there are too many to cancel this, that. We decided to learn the hard way. I went and announced it. The response we got for the first program, I had to repeat it 9 times to accommodate the response. But what happened at the end of a program, these people used to come back and say, Anil, I came here because I didn't understand the subject. At the end of a 1-day program, I still don't understand. Now I understand what I don't understand. I need more. And I didn't know how to react to that. My full-time job was CA practice. Once in a while, I can do it. But so many people kept asking that it started looking like I don't care about them. So to dispel that notion, I remember calling about 25 people for dinner. And I said, you guys have been asking, you want more inputs? I've decided I'll do a 3-month course. I don't even know why I said 3 months. I could have said 2, I could have said 6. It just came out of my mouth. We'll do a 3-month program on finance, but I have to be in office by 9:30. So I'll do it before office hours, 7:30 to 9 a.m. Unearthly hour. And I need to travel. So I'll do it thrice a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If you're interested, I'll do it. I thought nobody would be interested, unearthly time. Out of those 25 guys I invited, 18 of them enrolled. Any case, we finished the batch, we said end of the story. The first batch brought the second brought the third brought. This program started in December 1990. It is on till date.
Wow.
Only 2 years back we took it online. 3-month course. So I used to realize so many people, and then you see life-changing things happening to them. So I used to always feel I'm standing in a room and talking to 20 people where I should be talking to 20,000 or 200,000. How, that sense of everyone needs this, same energy is required. I didn't understand technology, I didn't know how to do it. So one way was to write a book, but I'm lazy. I said, writing a book is like climbing a mountain. Who will do that? So I never got around to doing it. But then one day, I caught chicken pox. I probably didn't get it when I was a kid. I got it later on in life. And I was grounded for 10 days. And I had nothing to do. So to kill time, I started without even knowing I'm writing a book. This book got written in those 10 days.
Wow.
So 10 days got over, I was fine, I stopped. So romancing the balance sheet, and you know, when blessings come in life, that time I was kicking and screaming inside. There were so many commitments, I had to cancel them. I know I had to go to Dubai after 2 weeks. I couldn't make up my mind, will I be okay in 2 weeks? Will I not be? Should I cancel? Should I not? All those turmoil going on inside. Why the hell? Why did I have to get chicken pox? But that was a blessing. Today, my biggest recognition has become the book. You don't recognize blessings when they come in different forms.
Amazing, amazing story.
Yeah.
Now, this is, you know, I want to learn a little bit about what advice would you give to people who today might be saying, okay, I understand I need to learn about money, right? But I don't know how to get started. So what books, what courses, or what ways would you recommend them to get started?
I wouldn't know. But today's generation is so lucky. I think YouTube and social media is full of gyan everybody is giving you.
Right.
So you don't even have to spend money today. If you want, there is enough of free information available. But I wouldn't know which one because, you know, I'm such an island.
Right.
I've never in my life attended a program on finance. You know, chartered accountancy doesn't have a college. There's nobody to teach you. So we are all, in a way, self-learned.
Right.
You get study material. I've never attended anybody's program. I don't even know who are the others teaching the subject, whether they are or they are not there. I don't know what they teach. So I can't tell you who to go to.
Right.
But I can tell you, please learn. Go to anyone but learn the subject. Pick up books and learn. Watch videos and learn. Come to me, I'll teach you. Go to anyone.
Right.
But don't stay away. That's all I can say.
Awesome. So what are some of the last thoughts that you might have for anyone or organization specifically in the small, medium
I think everyone. Number one, personal level, don't neglect finance. This is what is going to save you when you're nearing retirement. You know, people can save all their lives and realize on retirement it won't last you for 6 months unless you are savvy with your finance management. You got to understand how compounding works. You got to understand how inflation can hurt you. You got to make sure what you save is not only generating returns, but the returns are beating inflation. Otherwise, your wealth is actually being deteriorated, whatever you... So, as important in personal life. And therefore, please understand, guys, how to invest in stock markets, because that's the one thing that can help you beat inflation. Corporations have to understand because the stakes are even higher. Governments must understand. You know, financial mismanagement not only creates problems in personal life, not only makes businesses shut down, nations and economies have shut down. The entire subprime crisis of the United States can be attributed solely to bad finance management. Countries in Europe, Greece, Portugal, Spain, Italy, South America, Venezuela, right now our neighbor, Sri Lanka. All these problems are related to bad finance management. So if nations understand finance management, nations prosper, businesses understand finance management, businesses succeed, individuals understand finance management, your life becomes better, guys. So.
Brilliant. So this has been an awesome video. Anil, thanks for joining us today. It has been absolutely enlightening. I think reinforcing with your experience of working with hundreds and thousands of people and organizations around the world. One thing is absolutely clear. You cannot do away without financial literacy. You have to get on top of it. If you're an entrepreneur or you're a working professional, you still need to understand that because it can actually help the company that you are working in. And as a citizen of your country, you can help contribute in a minor way, helping your country become financially literate as well. Now, there's a lot of things that are needed to be done. For those of you who want to get started with investing, we also do a podcast series called Swatantra, in which we kind of decode and simplify everything related to investments. That's not just got to do with the stock market, but real estate and the other asset classes as well. So if you're interested, you can tune into that playlist on the same video channel. And Anil, how can people get in touch with you?
They can write me an email, anil@lamconschool.com. You can check my website, lamconschool.com or anillamba.com.
Anillamba.com.
Both are there.
And if you are on the Pune-Mumbai Expressway, you will find his awesome billboard, Anil Lamba, Dr. Anil Lamba. Anil, this has been an awesome session. I want to thank you for your generosity of sharing your experiences, your expertise, and really simplifying and keeping it to the point.
Thank you for inviting me, Darshan. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Anil.
Thanks.
See you guys. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, like it, share it with people so that they could benefit from financial literacy as well. Thanks a lot.